And hello and welcome. We are live here on Boles.tv. Oh, it's BOLES.television. I'm David Boles, here with you Monday through Friday, high noon, Eastern Standard Daylight Time. A lot of things going on in the news today. It's interesting doing the show in a shift from 9 a.m. to noon. Because really by 8 o'clock in the morning, an hour before the show, you have to have everything ready to go. And I put about 3-4 hours of prep into this show every day. Believe it or not. And the early news is the early news. But then when you get into 9, 10, 11 a.m., there's more news that comes in from the day that's analysis and new news that you can share. So it's a little different phenomenon, a little bit of a different dynamic from just moving the show forward 3 hours. It's a very interesting experiment. So the weather here is still a little weird. It's been raining, I think, now for 4 days. The aftermath of Hurricane Ian, Yan. And I have changed my entire wardrobe. I am now officially in my long sleeve outfits. Made the old changeroo yesterday from the summery clothes to the wintry clothes. So I now have my long pants on, no more shorts, long sleeve shirt. I'm ready for the next 6 months of hunkering down. So history was made. A good kind of history. Finally, we get something wonderful. Aaron Judge blasted. Home run number 62. It's a big accomplishment. It's the American League record. Well, it's the record. Because Barry Bonds cheated with steroids. And as far as we know, come on now, Aaron Judge did not. So he's the new home run king. Hey, it's artist Dora. She says, I think the weather will improve tomorrow and Friday. That's exactly right. I was trying to hold on until the weekend and keep my shorts on. But because of my strange personality, my OCD, once I make the change from shorts to long sleeve and long pants back to shorts, that's it. You don't go back and forth. So I just decided to do it. And the next 2 days are going to be the 70s, and it's going to be hot. But then, next week, we're in our 60s again, so it'll be just perfect. So that was the trade-off. The last 2 days, I admit, with my short pants, I was suffering just a little bit too cold. No heat, windows wide open, because we're from the Midwest. It's what we do. A little over 100 years ago, a charismatic and portly slugger named Babe Ruth began swatting balls over outfield fences by volume, helping establish the home run as one of the most coveted individual achievements in sport, and the Yankees as the most honored franchise. And really, there is only one baseball team in America that deserves any attention, and it is the New York Yankees. And people from Boston don't like hearing that, but too bad. Ruth's records, including 60 home runs in 1927, became sacred milestones cherished for decades by millions. In 1961, Roger Maris, as humble and retiring as Ruth was gregarious, broke the single-season record when he hit 61. Also, for the only baseball team in America that matters, the New York Yankees. Now Aaron Judge, as physically imposing as Ruth, he is huge, tall, big, not fat, and as modest as Maris, has passed them both, homering against the Texas Rangers Tuesday to reach 62 for the new season. It's just fabulous. And here is the historic moment we will share, because this is what we do. And there were people worried that maybe he wouldn't hit. He was going to run out of time. He was in his head. And it's tough when you're an opposing pitcher. Do I want to go down in history as giving him the record? Do I want to, give him a nice pitch to hit, which is sort of the friendly, sportsmanlike thing to do. You don't want to go too crazy and just, walk the guy or try to belittle him or embarrass him a little bit. But you also don't want to be too easy on him because everyone will say, oh, he threw a softball. Anybody could hit that. Dig up Babe Ruth, he could hit that. And here's the interesting single-season home run leaders. This is why the New York Times is very interesting with its data. Hide the steroid era, which is very interesting, right? Oh, that's beautiful. So Judge is number one if you hide all the steroid jerks. Who is it? Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire. So he did it, and Aaron Judge felt he was made a low ball offer by the Yankees. The Yankees didn't want to pay him. He thought he was worth a lot of money. He turned down the Yankee offer and said, this is my final season. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to show what I'm worth. I'm going to go make myself a superstar. And that's exactly what he did. Now, are the Yankees going to pay up? How can they not pay up? Babe Ruth, Roger Maris, Aaron Judge, they're going to pay up. And they're going to pay him a lot of money. Even if he gets old and can't finish the contract, it doesn't matter. You're not going to let your home run king go to the Seattle Mariners, the Houston Astros, or, God forbid, Boston. So that's wonderful news. What else is going on in the news? Well, I am a little addicted to Doll-E. The new Doll-E thing. The prompt today is down on the farm. And you submit these, and if you get 10 likes, you go into the Hall of Fame. I think I have 7 likes on this now. This was my idea for Down on the Farm. A steampunk tractor on hills. And I find it absolutely amazing. Some of these, as I'll show you, are total and complete disasters. And others are like, oh my goodness, this is actually kind of interesting. It's hard to figure out what's going on, really. So this is the other version, the other iteration. This is another one that looks a little illustrative, as it was drawn for a textbook or something. This one is the most realistic for being completely fake and AI. How is it possible? I don't know. What am I doing here? I don't know. But this is a steampunk tractor on a farm with hills. It's amazing stuff. This, I believe, was the original. Maybe this is the first variation. So if you tell it to, mix it up a little bit, this was the one that I submitted, I believe, which I think is just beautiful. And none of it's real. It's all artificially invented by a computer. And I've noticed on Twitter that all of my NFT friends that I have supported are now no longer speaking to me. And when I say no longer speaking to me, I mean they're not liking my stuff, they're not commenting, they're not retweeting, they're not forwarding. And I guess I understand why, because they find this very insulting. Why am I promoting the demise of their artwork? Here's the original, and then the variations. And it's true. I mean, why would you need to go to an AI artist when you want something cosmic and psychedelic and funky? When you can just, have a computer invent it yourself, and then you can edit it and make variations and have exactly what you want. You don't have to go through another person. You make your own NFT, psychedelic, cosmic, and funky. And you get this. And there are artists who are selling NFTs. Who could not create this if you were like commissioning them to do it? And some people do commission, some people don't. This is all very abstract, very interesting. I like it all. And it's interesting to me how a lot of these young women who tend to be from Eastern Europe, they all draw, and we've talked about this on the stream before, they all draw naked, boobied women. Hey, there's Artistora. It is very depressing, but physical art will still exist. That's true. But a lot of these artists aren't doing physical. They're doing it all on iPad anyway. And these Eastern European women who appear to really want to use, I guess, the female body naked to sell their NFTs. And they all look the same. They all have the same design. I don't know if it's like a template somewhere and they're just coloring in between the lines, but it's very strange. Now let me see if I can. Ooh, now I've entertained myself. I don't know if Dolly does nudes, but nude young Russian woman with apple and water. I tell you, 90% of the image. Oh, see the nude things getting us. Oh, athletic. Let's try that because that's the other thing that they all do. They're all working out. Athletic young Russian woman with apples and water. Okay. And they're usually in a shower, in a puddle, and it's all really poorly drawn, cartoony looking stuff. It's very bizarre. And they're all the same age. They all look exactly the same. I should have said painting, okay, because this is not a real person, by the way. It's all AI. Not a real person, by the way. All AI. I love the water. So that's not the kind of water that I wanted. So now I have to go back and fix this. Athletic, young, Russian woman. Painted. Oil paint. We'll try that. Oil paint with apple and raining. And I guess someone's buying these young Russian nudies NFTs because they're always celebrating, oh, it's sold. And I look at it and I think it's the most horrible thing I've ever seen. Okay, here we go. Young Russian woman with an apple. Better, at least it looks sort of artistic, and at least it looks... Now, this is better drawing and shading and three-dimensionality than these women draw them. Very flat, very cartoony, very angular. That's kind of interesting. I'm not seeing a lot of rainfall, though, but that's okay. So here are a couple of other fun things that I did, because I'm on a steampunk episode. This was Steampunk Artificial Eye. And again, not real people. And I don't know why steampunk means an Asian face, but it tends to do that, I discovered this morning. And this is both eyes, which was actually the prompt, but I only got one eye on most of them. Very interesting. And then, just to be fair, I tried, an ugly old man instead. This is how the artificial eye is presented. Not quite right. Not quite right. Sort of interesting, weird. This, not bad. Not a real person. Then I decided, let's go for the steampunk artificial ear. Still very strange. Not a real person. Not a real person. I love the crooked tooth, though. It's very realistic. Almost looks like a cochlear implant, which I guess is sort of what I was going for. And another interesting move here. Then I thought, why not go for an older woman with a steampunk ear implant? Okay, interesting. That looks like an earring. But it's fascinating. You say old woman, and they draw, they invent an old woman. Again, looks like sort of a steampunkish hearing aid. And And I actually find the skin tone, the shadow, the eye, I think that's much more interesting than what they presented. One more try with the old steampunk ear thing. Very bizarre. And it almost looks like the same people, but just with different things attached. But they're not the same people. They're all different people. Very bizarre. So that was my fun this morning with Dolly. Now, speaking of fakery, I got my first Russian bot. My first Russian troll bot. Today on Twitter. I know they're there. You read about them. And they're promoting things and telling people off. And I got this delivered, and it was in Russian, into my direct messages 5 times in a row. And for some reason, I was following this person, which is not unusual, because bots follow. And if there's some people who, follow, or they do NFTs, or they're journalists, I don't know when I followed this person. This bot, maybe it used to be a person, but now it appears to be a bot. And she has changed her thing. I stand with Putin. And then she has the Russian flag, which does not interest me. And she's a journalist in radio and television. She is Italian, but born in Germany. She tweets in German, Italian, and English, which I find very curious. I don't see my closed captions on my iPhone. It makes me a little nervous. Where did they go? I don't know. I hope they haven't been removed. Okay. And what she did is she forwarded me, she put a period here, you can see it, and then she forwarded me a screenshot of my profile. Why? I don't know. And she sent me 5 of them. Hey, it's Artist Dora again. Oh boy, I worry about that. The Ukraine supporters will be targeted by Russia. That's exactly what I think was going on. And as I was trying to wake up this morning, I said, have I said anything recently about Russia, about Putin? Not really. I've posted, cartoon images making fun of Putin. But as far as I know, nothing yesterday, because I'm in my doll-E era right now. I mean, the live stream I talk about Ukraine and Russia and our friends. I don't know what prompted this, but maybe I do. This is what's prompting it. Elon Musk, who is a big supporter of Russia, he says he supports Ukraine, but Garry Kasparov and others say he's not. He thinks that Ukraine should just accept everything that's happened so far, call for peace, and everyone should just move on with their lives. And, speaking of Twitter trolls, he's now back to saying he's going to go ahead and buy Twitter. And people are very suspicious about this because he has to do a sit down with lawyers to be interrogated on Thursday. And when he reiterated, okay, I will in fact buy Twitter, yesterday, his lawyer letter to the SEC and to the Twitter people said, as long as you stop legal stuff against me, meaning Thursday, canceling Thursday, then I will buy the Twitter. Artist Dora asks, what the heck is wrong with him? Anyone with half a brain knows that Putin won't stop there. Exactly. It's ridiculous. And then he says, well, I sent up satellites to give Ukrainians internet access. I'm a good guy. And people who know more than I do say, well, yeah, sure, you did that, but did you also give Russians access to it too? The Russian government? He's not responding to that. So there are a lot of people online complaining that over the last 24 hours since Elon said, oh, by the way, I'm going to do it again, that they've lost thousands of followers. And I've lost a few. And they're saying that these bots. That now Twitter's getting all nervous, so they're going in and, deleting all these pro-Russian bots before Elon comes in and takes over. And I guess gives more of them. And some people are very upset because that means that Donald Trump is going to be back and he's going to ruin the service. And boy, oh boy, you do a search on Elon Musk on Twitter and yow, you get all kinds of angry, furious people say now the libtards are going to be owned. We are going to own all those libtards because Elon's going to be back. It's very strange. And so this is how Elon responded to the Russia fiasco. Hey, let's try this then. The will of the people who live in the Donbass and Crimea should decide whether they're part of Russia or Ukraine, yes or no. You can't vote anymore. How many of these are Russian troll bots who voted yes? And this is what got him in big trouble yesterday. Redo elections of annexed regions under UN supervision. Russia leaves if that is the will of the people. Crimea, formerly part of Russia, as it has been since 1783 until the Khrushchev mistake. And somebody posted a map from 1919 showing the Crimea and even more land of Russia belonged to Ukraine. Water supply to Crimea assured. Ukraine remains neutral. Oh, isn't that nice? The country that's beat up and pulverized by the invading army is the one who has to play nice. Oh, I'll just stay neutral. I'm not going to say one way or the other. I'm just going to. And people, I voted on this one, overwhelmingly said no. 59%. And he says, oh, hey, Elon, it's highly likely to be the outcome in the end. Just a question. I'm just asking a question of how many people die before then. And here we go. Twitter employees are venting on social media and in private forums about Elon Musk's agreement to buy Twitter. So this is happening all over again as well. And as I said, my Twitter Blue subscription, I do not have an NFT profile pic. Someone emailed me, responded to me this morning saying, hey, I have the same problem. And I said, where are they? Where do you get help for Twitter Blue? There is no support. You tweet them, they don't respond. Or what's going to happen with super follows? Are they going to delete that too? No one cares. No one seems to be around. And I guess we know why, because all of the people who are doing all the work are going online and social media to complain about Elon Musk. Some Twitter employees are not happy that Elon Musk has returned to the deal to buy the company. And people say he had to. There was no way out of it. He's forced to do it. Several have expressed their frustration on social media and in private forums. One employee likened Musk's U-turn to the plot of Succession. CNN reports that some employees have been venting on Blind, which is an anonymous private forum popular with Twitter staff. Decoding Elon Musk's legal surrender. Most cases settle. This is a very inconvenient fact for lovers of courtroom drama and lawyers alike. Sirens outside, if you can hear them, who often prepare for trials that get scuttled at the last minute. sometimes on the eve of trial, sometimes even after the trial has begun. But for most litigants, and particularly for corporations and rich people like Elon Musk, settlements are attractive because they eliminate uncertainty, downside risk, and the potential for embarrassment. This was a lesson I learned in my early days as a corporate lawyer, working on cases not dissimilar from Musk's fight with Twitter. And so I will put the link to this wonderful article in our Discord server. And here's how it concludes. For months, Musk has been on track to lose the case. In the process, he has also simultaneously been devaluing the company he's likely to be saddled with, one whose prospects and potential he seems to legitimately believe in, despite the last few months of legal wrangling. Now is a good time to call it quits and stanch the bleeding. So, oh no, I thought this was over. He was not going to buy, and life would be good. It's only going to get worse. Meow. And now it's time for our first break of the day. Now, if I were more, I don't want to say organized, I'm very organized. If I was better in control of my time, as if I were on the old TV for real, I would know what my next thing is. But I don't want to be rushed. I have everything prepared for a 4-hour show if I have to. So coming up next, oh yes, that's going to be a good one. Florida checks women's periods. Ugh. That was gross to type. I'm sorry if you had to listen to it. Ugh. Shocking. But as we're going to find out, this is really nothing new for conservatives. They did it to all the immigrants as an official part of Trump's reign as president. And warning flares were sent up at the time. Look, they're doing this to immigrant women. They're going to do it to domestic women as well. And the conservatives said, oh, that's impossible. Don't be ridiculous. Wait till you find out what happened. Returning in a moment. And we are back from break. I'm David Boles. This is Boles.tv. Oh, it's BOLES, not television. And we are live with you Monday through Friday at noon. This next topic is just so grotesque that you don't even want to discuss it, but then you realize you have to discuss it because you got to get the word out there. And unfortunately, you can't even really read the article because it's behind a very strict paywall with no way to get around, to get in, to look at it in depth. So from the Florida Times-Union, we get this news. Florida female student athletes have to report their menstrual history to play. When they got their first period, when they had access to their last one, etc. A third party has access to that information. And parents and doctors are raising red flags. Now, this, of course, is government intervention in personal lives, which conservatives say they want nothing to do with that. And it gets very interesting, crazy, Dora says. And it gets very interesting that, this is about the safety of the girls. And people online are trying to say, well, what's the male equivalent? And some people say, it must be every time you masturbate. You have to report that. Women say it's not the same thing. Every time you have a nocturnal emission as a man. No, it's not the same thing. There's no equivalency because it's not the same thing. And they're doing this under the guise of protecting the young women, but it's really about abortion and discovering over time in a pattern of history if you are pregnant or not. And if you are, look out. So we cannot read this article because it's behind a paywall. And there are ways to get around a paywall, so I've heard. I couldn't get around this one. So we have to rely on the conversation, which I love. Remember when they did this to the migrant girls? And it sort of made a blip on the news. But then everybody forgot about it. But certain people warned the public that it was only a matter of time before they did this to U.S. citizens. Told you so. Dear Florida, Rachel Vindman, Alexander Vindman's wife. She's very active. Dear Florida, this is not normal. Oh, gee. Diedrich Bader, the actor. OMG. It's shocking. It's grotesque. Almost as bad as the vaginal wand. They were sticking up women to see if their fetus was viable, and you had to watch it on a screen. Ugh. And here's the other. I wish folks would stop comparing this to asking males about masturbation. Menstruation is not a sexual activity and not voluntary. Either situation would be unacceptable and invasive violation of privacy, but let's not sexualize menstruation. Wonderful, absolutely right. And then somebody else answers, okay, yeah, I get that. But there wasn't a comparable male function to which I could compare it to. Closest I could come up to was nocturnal emission. What drives me nuts is saying if men take abortion away, they should lose Viagra. Not the same at all. Oh, hell no. I don't care how much my daughter wanted to play or how good she was. She's not playing any sport in Florida. Absolutely effing not. And the reply, which of course is the point, it's how conservatives have dealt with everything they hated and couldn't take away. Just make it so dangerous, so privacy violating, so whatever, that you just don't want to do it. You opt out. Enough people pull their girls from sports. Bye-bye women's sports in schools, which is what they want. They don't want Title IX. They don't want women being independent. They don't want women having control over their bodies. They want men to decide. From the Orlando Sentinel, of the hundreds of thousands of athletes who have participated in Florida high school sports since the transgender policy was put into place, there have been a grand total of 11 transgender athletes who competed, and only 2 of those were transgender girls. That's right, 2 transgender girls in nearly a decade. Male who became female, transitioned into female. Do we really need a law about this? And here's insightful again. It's really, this whole Florida thing is about pregnancy tracking. It's just making it about protecting girls' sports from trans girls, makes it more palatable, right? A trans girl is not going to have a period, so does that mean she can't play? If you remember, the government did this to migrant girls in DHS custody under Trump. It wasn't about protecting girls' sports, and neither is this. How far away are the midterms, by the way? Anybody know? How soon can we get rid of these people? But the Herschel Walker thing going on in Georgia is outrageous. They just circle around the worst people and protect them. And their voters are submissive enough, they just go along with it. Shocking. So we have a breath of fresh air on the Supreme Court in the likes of Ketanji Brown Jackson. And she made her debut, and she made a very interesting spoken argument. Alabama, the state, wants to pervert the 14th Amendment to gut voting rights. So Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson decided to give them, in open court, a much-needed history lesson. As it turns out, originalism isn't just for conservatives. I'm going to put on my headphones with this so we can listen to it together, because it's very important. And this is what's so brilliant about her, is she is using these public forums to get information out there so people can discover on their own what's happening and why it's happening and what it means to the bottom line of America. And now we begin. And this is also open captioned.
Required, right? They drafted the Civil Rights Act of 1866, which specifically stated that citizens would have the same civil rights as enjoyed by white citizens. That's the point of that act, to make sure that the other citizens, the black citizens, would have the same as the white citizens. So they recognized that there was unequal treatment, that people based on their race were being treated unequally. And importantly, when there was a concern that the Civil Rights Act wouldn't have a constitutional foundation, that's when the 14th Amendment came into play. It was drafted to give a foundational, a constitutional foundation for a piece of legislation that was designed to make people who had less opportunity and less rights equal to white citizens. So with that as the framing in the background, I'm trying to understand your position that Section 2, which by its plain text is doing that same thing, is saying you need to identify people in this community who have less opportunity and less ability to participate and ensure that that's remedied, right? It's a race-conscious effort, as you have indicated. I'm trying to understand why that violates the 14th Amendment, given the history and background of the 14th Amendment.
Powerful stuff. I love it. Headphones off. So that's one way you can fight back against a conservative majority. You can call them out in public. You can establish what the law says right now and what it has been. And there's really no way to hide from it. Now, does the conservative majority really care what Ketanji Brown Jackson thinks or says? No, they don't care. But other people do. People who are watching, people who are listening, people who are trying to figure out what's going on, they care. She's right. The comments say blindingly right, but that will make no difference to the originalism is what we say it is crowd. Looking at you, Alito, in particular, we may consider the VRA completely gutted and defunct soon, the Voting Rights Amendment. We need more justices like her. And it's a very good point that she explains things very well. She takes complicated ideas and is able to drill them down into the important essence of what we need to know and where we need to go. So that is desperately, desperately needed. And the fact that this happens to be a young woman from a minority family really only helps her case. It really only makes what she says matter more. And early this morning, this bumped into my inbox. Rumor Guard. Now, this is by the News Literacy Project. I don't know much about this. Now, this whole thing might be some kind of Russian scam, conservative scam, or maybe it's on the up and up, and it's really about trying to get to the truth of the matter. But I thought, hey, we'll explore it together and see what we think. The idea from reading the press release, this just debuted today, it's like it's another version of Snopes. Snopes.com. They try to, put the truth to the lie. Is this the actual picture of London milkman delivering milk after the World War II bombing? Is it true or not true? That's what Snopes does. Now we have to click on this and find out because I don't know. Vintage photograph authentically shows a milkman delivering milk in the aftermath of the bomber. And Snopes says it is false. Although the October 1940 photograph credited photographer Fred Morley is real in the sense that it was not digitally created or edited and was indeed taken in the aftermath of the German bombing raid, it was also staged. The milkman was actually the photographer's assistant, posing in a borrowed costume amid the real devastation of the London Blitz. Okay, good. That's what Snopes does. Now, hey, new friend, Rahul, I am from India, and our Supreme Court passed a Nalsa judgment in 2014 where trans people were accepted as third gender, but I'm waiting to see it implemented. Well, that sounds very interesting. I don't know what that means or how it is determined. So you have male as one, female as the other, and the third is just labeled transgender? Or is labeled third gender? It's an interesting categorization. And if you have more information to share, please let us know. So that's what Snopes thought. And Snopes has been around for a long time. Really, if you wanted to know if something was real or fake, Snopes was on it pretty quickly. Now, this new thing, Rumor Guard, I'm hoping, yes, is the answer from Rahul. Thank you so much for that. If you have anything else to share or add, just type it and we'll look at it together. Recent checks, factors, topics, take action. This is from the Literacy News Project. You have power to stop misinformation, be informed, not misled. Rumor Guard, we'll go back to it. This is the company that runs this. News literacy is the ability to determine credibility of news and other information and recognize standards of fact-based journalism to know what to trust or share. It's hard to know where these places, Washington, D.C., Newsroom fact, privacy policy contact. What is news literacy? How does this work? Is NLP nonpartisan? We are nonpartisan, educational. Oh. What's the stance on censorship? An essential part of being newsletters, understanding and appreciating the First Amendment. Well, maybe it's okay. So now we'll look at it. And we'll see if the News Literary Project. Oh, it opened a new window. So here we go. Rumor Guard. I can't go back to it. Rumor Guard, I said. Oh, I have to close this. Okay, so here is the first one. No, an elephant seal didn't wander the streets after Hurricane Ian, determined by 3 factors. So this is what it's trying to do, is trying to teach you how to read the news and see if there's something fake in there. So we will look at this and see what it says. No, an elephant seal did not wander the streets after Hurricane Ian. As Hurricane Ian pummeled southwest Florida, a video circulated that supposedly showed an elephant seal stranded in the streets. But it's old footage. Let's take a look at the fact. And there's a video walkthrough which you probably can't look at. So, quick look. No, this video was not captured in Florida during Hurricane Ian in September 2022. Yes, this is a genuine video of an elephant seal roaming the streets after being stranded in the seaside town in Chile in 2020. Now that's pretty good information. Miscaptioned content is frequently shared in the wake of natural disasters. Social media users are inundated with devastating images and videos, and purveyors of misinformation can easily mislabel old content and share it as new. And this is better than Snopes so far. 5 factors. We've determined this viral video is misleading or false based on its failure to pass the following credibility tests. Please note these factors do not represent degrees of falsehood. A post that fails a single factor is generally just as false as a post that fails on all 5. Fair. Lying in one thing, lying in everything. The source is wrong, the evidence is wrong, the context is wrong. Has it been posted or confirmed by a credible source? Now that's interesting. No. So this is viral stuff that gets out there, shared on Facebook, social media, Twitter, and people believe it. Is there evidence that proves the claim? No. Is the context accurate? No. And then it goes on to list their techniques. Well, that's fabulous so far. Now let's look at another one. Photoshopped image used as fodder for dumb Kamala Harris jokes. Photoshopped image used as fodder for dumb Vice President Harris jokes. A photograph purports to show Vice President Kamala Harris using a pair of binoculars with the lens cap still on during an international trip, but that isn't what happened. Huh. Interesting. This is not an authentic photo. The lens cap and the image were digitally added. A reverse image shows the photograph was doctored and that Harris was using binoculars correctly in the original image. Very good stuff. And what this other one looked very interesting too. Altered video of Trump and cinema goes viral. A video supposedly shows former President Donald Trump and Arizona Democrat Kyrsten Sinema together at a campaign speech. But it didn't happen. Wow. A doctored video. Now that's harder. Much harder to do. This is not an authentic video of Sinema and Trump. This is a digitally altered video based on footage of Trump with a supporter from a from a 2015 campaign rally and a clip of Cinema's acceptance speech from November 2018. We have fire trucks outside, if you can hear that. The video was created by a content creator known for fabricating photos and hoax videos. Well, that is wild. So let's just look at this. What does this say? Oh, this is YouTube. We can't watch YouTube, but there it is. Okay, so that's that. That's the original. And Cinema's acceptance speech. We can't watch this either because we'll get in trouble. So this must be Cinema. It is Cinema. This must be the person who was digitally altered. And I guess this is what's claiming to be the authentic video. Oh. So now it's put together. Interesting. This supposed Cinema Trump video is fake. I know it's extremely obvious to some of you, but it clearly isn't to everyone. So that's what they did. So they took her face, Cinema's face, put it on her body, and made a fake video. It's really disgusting if you think about it. Who's doing it? Conservative, Russian bots, Ukraine bots. Somebody's out there doing this ridiculous hoax. Well, I like this rumor guard. I like this website a lot. We're going to take a look at it more in the days to come as things change. I'm going to click on their Twitter thing right now so I can follow them. Check out Rumor Guard. Oh, I love that. Okay. I'll do that. Since I just tweet, oh, it's still sending my tweet. Refresh. Send my tweet. There it is. Newslit project. Follow. Notify. Cool. I like that a lot. Rumor Guard. Very good. Very good. It passes. So, now it's time to take a break. Now what are we going to talk about when we come back? Let me check my list of things to discuss. We will discuss The Watcher. Okay, movie review of The Watcher. I think it looks good. It looks good. Boom. Yes. Hello. Done. Returning in a moment. And hey, we are back from break. This is Boles.tv, BOLES, .television, Monday through Friday, high noon, Eastern. But just sitting here, getting ready to click the button to say hello again, we get a notification from the Twitter that the News Literacy Project liked my tweet about the News Lit Project. Rumor guard. So, I'm going to reply to myself and say, loved looking at the new Rumor Guard website just now during the Boles TV live stream. What sourcing? Better than Snopes. Meow. Tweet. That's one thing I'll miss if I get rid of Twitter Blue is I can send a tweet and then it takes, 10, 20, 30 seconds to send in case you want to go back and make a correction, to edit your tweet, as they say. And you can change it as you wish. Hey, Doris is very nice. Now, before we get to my movie review, just on break, I was thinking about something that our new friend Rahul said about the third gender in India. Because I was thinking, how would you do that in America? You have, boys football, girls basketball, and then you have third gender volleyball. How would it be equal under Title IX? So it looks like it's, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, Hijras. Hijras are officially recognized as a third gender in the Indian subcontinent, being considered neither completely male nor female. Hijras have a recorded history in the Indian subcontinent since antiquity, as suggested by the Kama Sutra. Oh, well, that's very interesting. What is the third gender called? Often called transgender by outsiders. Okay, we're talking about India. Oh my goodness, Artist Dora saw a documentary about that. Well, that's cool. I like that. Oh, now this is interesting. Typically, Hijra are born with male genitalia. Though some are intersex, born with hybrid male-female sex characteristics. Most Hijras elect later in life to surgically remove the penis and testicles. Well, how do they do that, though, do they add a penis if it's a woman? Interesting. Religion and Public Life from Harvard. Case study. While recognition of genders outside male and female has only recently been discussed in Western societies, in Hindu society, people of non-binary gender expression have played important roles for 2,000 years. Well, that I love. In America, conservatives seem to make gender choice, flippant. Oh, today I'm feeling like a girl, so I'm going to go get surgery. Oh, tomorrow I'm feeling like a boy, I'll go get another surgery. It's so demeaning and degrading. But if this has been going on for 2,000 years and been accepted in India, that's really quite terrific. This I did not know. I like learning new things. That's why we do a show discussing the human condition. I will put that link on our Discord server where you can join and add things and add to the conversation and the discussion. So here's a thing called The Watcher. The Watcher is watching you. Now, this is a movie. We'll go with photos. that is currently showing on AMC Plus. Now, in the ridiculousness that is cable television and cord cutting, there is the AMC channel that you get usually with your cable subscription, and then there is AMC Plus, which is separate, a separate charge, as far as I can tell, only available online or through an app, or you can watch it in your browser. So I downloaded the AMC Plus app to our Apple TV because I was going to do this last week because I'd heard good things about this Watcher movie. It was commercials on television. Oh, it's in movie theaters, but you can also watch it on AMC for free. AMC Plus for free. And I went to the website and it said, oh yeah, you get a 7-day free trial, cancel anytime. Now, that always means in America, I decided not to do it. I wasn't that curious. And then yesterday I get an email from Verizon saying, hey, because you have the new iPhone 14 Pro Max, you are entitled to 6 months of free AMC Plus streaming. And then they add, no credit card required. And I thought to myself, well, that seems really convenient. Because I had done some research in AMC Plus, and they have a lot of very interesting, scary horror movies. It's perfect for October. So I thought, okay. So I clicked on the link, fully expecting to have to turn over a credit card, which I was not going to do because I tend to forget about them. And then I get charged 6 months later, which is the whole point of it. Hey, Artist Dora says these apps channel extras are getting ridiculous. I agree. Why cut the cord when you're paying just as much cutting the cord as you are with your cable company? It's really, really absolutely ridiculous. Disney Plus, Hulu, Netflix, AMC Plus, TSM, TMC, and all the really good channels like the BBC channel and I can't remember, the Criterion channel. Those are channels you want, but they're super expensive. They're not like $3 a month. They're like $15 a month. So you're not going to buy that. And sure enough, I clicked on the link. It said, what's your email? Here's a password. I was in on the AMC Plus website. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? Well, that was easy. No credit card. So then I went to the Apple TV, downloaded the AMC Plus app, and we decided to watch it last night. And I'll be careful because this is a new movie. I don't want to ruin the whole plot. Evil Wants to Be Seen. This is the young woman. And the movie was interesting. The script had been hanging around Hollywood for several years. I think a couple of years ago, they have a thing called, I think, the Blacklist in Hollywood. It's like the top 10 screenplays that get passed around that everyone loves, but that no one will greenlight and actually make. Dora says TCM is still my favorite channel, and I understand why. Really, really great content. So the screenplay was making the rounds, and I guess the director of The Watcher decided to take the script and not set it in Brooklyn, but to set it in Romania. And to change the name of the serial killer, which you find out very early, from the spider, well, no, it was from the beheader to the spider. It made some other changes along the way. And you can tell the director's trying to go Hitchcockian, trying to make interesting parallels between a young blonde woman in distress and the rest of the world who's against her. And many levels it was successful. Other levels, it's an hour and a half movie, and it felt an hour too long. There's just a little too much lingering on establishing shots and reaction shots that made the story kind of drag. And there's a bit of Rear Window in the story, where this young woman looks out her window and sees someone looking back at her, and she feels that he is hunting her, following her, because there's a serial killer on the loose in the movie. And it was just kind of funny. She goes into the movie house, a movie house in Romania. I think it's Bucharest. And she's watching Charade, which is a movie that my mentor, Peter Stone, wrote and won a lot of awards for. And they're trying to make parallels between Charade and this movie and this heroine and Alfred Hitchcock. So it's all kind of a mixed up mess. But the really brilliant part of this is the decision to set this in Romania. And there's a lot of non-translated Romanian conversation. And she, this young woman, marries a Romanian man who speaks the language. She is learning the language but doesn't really speak it. She's English. She is American. She doesn't know what's going on. And that's the beauty of it. That is the real terror in this movie. She's lost, she's stuck, she doesn't have a language, she doesn't have anybody to communicate with her, she doesn't know where to go, where to get help. Nobody believes her that this guy is looking at her from afar. So she's totally on her own. And as I told Jana Marie last night, as we discussed the movie, I said that is probably one of the greatest examples of what I know it is like to be, not me, but Jana Marie, a deaf person in America, where you cannot hear the conversation going on around you, and everyone else is speaking, they're not signing, and you stand there left out, trying to figure out what's going on, maybe trying to read lips, asking what happened, and people either telling you or I'll tell you later. It's very discriminatory. It's very cruel. And there was one scene at a party where they were, laughing and making jokes about her. And it's her husband and their friend and the boss and his wife. And they are speaking Romanian. And she said, "What are you talking about? What did you say?" And her husband will not tell her. And she said, "Well, you're all laughing. Are you making a joke? Are you making a joke about me?" No one will answer her. So she knows exactly what's going on. She can read their face. She has been studying a little bit of the language. And she says to them, "Were you making a joke about the spider serial killer?" And everyone's faces go, I'm not going to try anything. And then she kind of puts, because she's catching words that they're saying to each other, but she doesn't comprehend at all. And then in her mind, you can see her putting together what the joke would be, because she's lonely and alone and has no one to speak to. And so she finishes the joke. So she said, "So the spider killer is on the loose, and at least he'll keep me company?" Is that the joke? And we know that's the joke. And she knows that's the joke. But they won't tell her that's the joke. Really heartbreaking, fascinating. So she is immersed in this very foreign but fascinating culture in Romania. Abandoned, alone, depressed, sad. She always looks like she needs to wash her hair, which is a choice of the director. It's not a comment by me on what she's like as a person. As one reviewer said, in the first scene, she has curly hair and brown eyebrows, and the next scene, she has dingy, crummy-looking hair with black eyebrows. So you can see this change going on in her. And so she leaves the party. She's upset, being made the butt of a joke, and no one will tell her. And that's when she goes home, and then the rest of the movie just kind of quickly comes to its conclusion after that. Do I recommend The Watcher? Absolutely. Is it a 10 out of 10? No. Is it a 7 out of 10? Yes. Would it be a 10 out of 10 if it were 45 minutes instead of an hour and a half? Yes. There's just a little too much plodding, a little too much, okay, we get the point, she's lonely. A little too much of the director trying to find the perfect shot, the memorable shot that can be shown on the internet later in a live stream review. And these are not even the best shots. The best shots are of her in front of this crazy window that at the beginning has no curtains, so everyone can see in and see out. And then in the middle of the movie, suddenly you have these really thick, gorgeous curtains over this whole wall of windows that's never explained, but we'd see her standing in front of it, which is good. We don't have to see them installing the curtains. We know what and we know why it's happening. So that is my review of The Watcher. Streaming for free, 7 days free, AMC Plus. It's definitely worth the effort. Would I give a credit card to watch this movie now and try to remember later to cancel? Yes. And now we're going to take our next break, but I got to figure out what we're going to talk about next. So many things to discuss, but it's all going to be good. Cheaters and winning. Yes. There's research that shows that people who win tend to cheat more. More on that in a moment. And hey, we're back from break. Lots of sirens going on today. Fire engines, police. The whole world is crumbling around us. I'm David Boles, and this is Boles.tv. It's BOLES .television. Monday through Friday, high noon Eastern. So there's a big cheating scandal going on in the chess world that has reverberations and ramifications beyond the nerdy chess people that we know and love because a lot of them are our friends, right? So chess.com took it upon themselves to investigate young Hans Niemann. He's an American chess player, to see just what kind of cheater he is. And he is. And what's interesting is that people in the chess world seem to know that Hans has cheated in the past, and Magnus Carlsen, the current world champ, accused him indirectly, but sort of directly, of cheating over the board. OTB is what it's called. And that's where you play over a physical chess board in person with your opponent sitting across from you. And those games tend to last 4 or 5 hours. They're long, they're intense. And somehow, Magnus Carlsen felt that Hans was cheating while playing chess in real time over the board. Okay, that's the accusation. So chess.com did their own investigation because they said, they have caught Hans cheating in online games played on chess.com. Now, the supporters of Hans say, well, this long report that was released yesterday from chess.com doesn't prove anything about over the board because he doesn't cheat over the board. He cheated online when he was young. That doesn't make any sense because chess.com doesn't play over the board. They're only online. They're chess.com. So for them to say that, Hans is likely cheated more than 100 times in tournaments that pay money, it's pretty damning evidence against Hans. False in one thing, false in everything? A one-time cheater? A cheater is always a cheater? What little phrase do you want to apply to Hans Niemann? Does it make sense that Hans would probably try to find a way to cheat in person? Probably so. Chess.com revealed last week that Hans's chess teacher also was convicted of cheating online at chess.com. Like father, like son. Like master, like mentor. Like mentee, like bicycle. Whatever. It's not that hard to make the logical association that one thing leads to another. So the Wall Street Journal, that Wall Street Journal got in on this. When world chess champion Magnus Carlsen last month suggested that American Grandmaster Hans Niemann was a cheater, the 19-year-old Niemann launched an impassioned defense. Niemann said, hey, I've cheated, but only at 2 points in my life, describing them as youthful indiscretions committed when he was 12 and 16 years old. Okay, do we buy that? Meh. A lot of people are not buying it. Scooch over. The report from chess.com, reviewed by the Wall Street Journal, alleges that Niemann likely received illegal assistance in more than 100 online games as recently as 2020. And Hans's defenders, and there are them, said, well, that was 2 years ago. 2 years ago? That's like yesterday. Those matches included contests in which prize money was on the line. The site uses a variety of cheating detection tools, including analytics, that compare moves to those recommended by chess engines, which are capable of beating even the greatest human players ever to live. The 72-page report from chess.com also flagged what it describes as irregularities in Niemann's rise through the elite ranks of competitive, in-person, over-the-board chess. It highlights many remarkable signals and unusual patterns in Hans's path as a player. I don't know. But this is an in-depth article written by the Wall Street Journal. Now, what's interesting about this, there's Magnus, is the conversation. And here we go. I'm still waiting for definitive proof that the teen cheated. Statistical analysis is a poor substitute for actual proof. It's very hard to catch people cheating. And even when you do historically in chess, well, a guy has a camera and his pendant and a transmitter in his armpit. I'm not cheating. I don't know what you're seeing. It has nothing to do with me. With a straight face. Let the two play face to face, and then we'll see who is the better chess player. Magnus Carlsen will cream him. Another comment, but the question of whether he cheated this time remains unanswered. See, these are all the Hans apologists. There are two sacred sports. America's Cup race, it's racing, sailing racing, and chess. If these allegations are true, then this is just terrible. Hans will be playing in the U.S. Chess Championship, which starts this week. Let's see if he can keep his momentum going. So, it's easy to cheat in chess with the help of a computer. That's why I just prefer, as I've said before here, to play against a computer. Why play against a person? If you can really play against a person and they're not going to cheat, you probably have to do it online. I mean, not online, but in person. Because online, people are going to cheat. Because it's too easy not to. Now, if you care about the game, you care about getting better, you're not going to cheat. So I don't have any interest in cheating. I hate kibitzers, and that's what cheating is, really. So that's why I play against computers. Because they're just going to beat me, and that's okay. This leads us into our next very interesting topic. Do winners cheat more? New research refutes previously high-profile study. A 2016 paper by Israeli researchers reported a series of experiments which claimed that winners of skill-based competitions are more likely to steal money in subsequent games of chance against different opponents, as opposed to losers, or people who did not see themselves as winners or losers. But now it's different. Researchers have examined the behavior of 259 participants in a lab-based dice rolling game, identical to the original study, and 275 participants undertaking a basic coin-tossing game and an additional online experiment. Results were then analyzed. Researchers found a small but significant amount of cheating occurred for the financial rewards on offer, just as the original study. However, winning did not increase subsequent cheating or increase people's sense of entitlement. But neither did losing. Instead, the only factor investigated which could account for the small but significant amount of the cheating that occurred was low inequality aversion. People with inequality aversion dislike unequal outcomes. Those with a strong sense of fairness tend to be inequality averse, and they avoid cheating because they view the practice as a form of unfairness. Professor who was in charge of the study said cheating and general dishonesty are of growing concern in the light of academic dishonesty in the digital age. Problems of tax avoidance and evasion by wealthy people in developed countries, and more generally effects of widening inequality in wealth and income on corruption and crime. We were surprised by the findings in the 2016 study. That's why we wanted to replicate it with substantial sample sizes. We were amazed when it turned out that neither winning nor losing had any effect on cheating, although a significant amount of cheating occurred. We have at least provided scientifically sound data to give a clear answer to the question. I will put the link to this very interesting article on our Discord server for your future enjoyment. Now, the next step in online cheating, averse inequality. What is the effect of hierarchy on moral behavior? Researchers from the Netherlands show that powerful hierarchies and hierarchical situations make it easier to commit harmful actions. There are numerous historical examples where horrific acts and mass destruction have occurred as a result of hierarchical structure. A superior communicates a plan, and a subordinate carries it out. The superior then bears responsibility for the decision but is distanced from the result, while the subordinate experiences authorship over the action, but may experience reduced responsibility for its outcomes. And in our daily lives, too, hierarchy is acquired throughout society. In many organizations, orders are embedded in an even longer chain of command, in which a given commander often merely relays the orders received from a superior. But what effect does that have on our actions? Very interesting study. So they did some MRIs to try to track how people concentrate and deliver these instructions from above. The MRI study shows that activity in empathy-related brain regions was low in both commander and the intermediary. Do this, I do this, result. Compared to someone who delivered the shock directly of their own free will. During both studies, pain was administered by shocking the other person by a human or a robot. The EEG results showed that the sense of agency did not differ between commanders and intermediaries, regardless of whether the execution was performed by a robot or a human. However, it turned out that the natural response to the pain of the victim were higher when participants commanded a robot compared to a human. That suggests that when there is a second human involved in the process of the shocking, the responsibility tends to be diffused and commander's pain processing of the victim's pain is reduced. Diffusing responsibility onto a robot is harder. The law generally punished those who gave out orders more severely than those who carried out the orders. But what do people feel exactly in a hierarchical chain? One of the Khmer Rouge leaders was sentenced to life imprisonment for crimes against humanity and genocide. This might be coming for our old friend Vladimir. Putler, as our friends call him. These results complement previous research showing that hierarchy has a measurable effect on people's behavior and brain activation, making them less engaged in the harm they cause. This study can raise questions on how we can ensure that people feel responsibly despite being in a hierarchical chain. Is it easier for executors to take responsibility over their actions since they are the ones acting? Or for the commanders because they bear the responsibility of the order? We show how powerful hierarchical situations can facilitate committing actions that harm others, as agency and empathy are distributed across multiple individuals. It's a great study. I highly recommend it. And now, just for some fun, because we've been talking about heavy things, Fermilab shares 15 spectacular photos from a dark energy camera. Spiral galaxy? Is this image, called the Spanish Dancer, is 69 million light years from Earth. From high atop a mountaintop in the Chilean Andes, the dark energy camera has snapped more than 1 million exposures of the southern sky. The images have captured around 2.5 billion astronomical objects, including galaxies, clusters, stars, dwarf planets, and supernova. Now 10 years since the dark energy camera first saw stars, the impressive 570 megapixel camera. The new iPhones have a, 48 megapixel camera? Wow, 10 times better. Originally built in the U.S. Department of Energy's Fermi National Accelerator Laboratory. And these are the photographs, the results of all of those photographs. A look into the wild black yonder of space away from us. It's fabulous. It's wonderful. And now to wrap up, we're going back to our old friend Dolly, because this just hit me as I was doing the cheating scandal. What if we tried a steampunk chess knight? Now, a knight in chess is a horse. Is Doll-E going to understand when we say chess knight? Or is he going to give us a fully metal-plated knight person? I have to find out now. So we'll try it this way. Dark steampunk. Amazing photos, Dora says. Thank you. They were terrific. That popped up this morning, too. It's like, oh my goodness, this is just wonderful. Dark steampunk chess knight. Let's see what this gives us. I'm not confident this is going to be what we want, but I'm interested to see what it will do. You never know. Oh boy, this is not looking right. Well, okay, here we go. Sort of interesting. There is a horse. I don't know what this is. That looks like a knight. Almost in shining armor. Horse's ears. Okay. It's interesting. I'm not sure what to make of it, but I'll save it. Okay, so this is a knight's helmet as a chess piece. It's not terrible. So, because the knight is the most celebrated image logo used in chess. You go to a chess website, you're going to see a knight somewhere, except chess.com where they use a pawn. I'm going to try bishop. Just to see if we get the chess piece bishop or if we get the religious figure. Dying to know. And maybe a pawn would be interesting too, but the pawn is so plain and so ugly. Oh, now this is interesting. It's trying to do something. This is a bishop. Huh. This, I don't know what it is. I'm saving it, but I don't know what it is. This, I don't know what that is either. Bizarre. Whoops. Back. We'll try pawn. We'll see if the pawn. I'm not getting chess out of this for some reason. I don't know how I can make it better. On a chessboard pawn. The knight one gave us the chessboard. Technically, you could say that is a pawn. Is it steampunky? Not really. That does look like a chess pawn, though. Interesting. Jack in the box. We'll try king. I wanted to do queen, but king, I've had better luck using a king in these dialogues with my collaborator, Dolly. Oh, now this looks interesting. Interesting. Very interesting. It's like these are, and that was on a chessboard. Weird. Very weird. It's interesting to see how the computer thinks. That's very interesting. Now we have to do the queen. And then after that, we have to do a rook. The rook's going to be a weird one because that's like a castle. But rook is very specific to chess. So I don't think it could pick the wrong kind of person. I don't think. But I've been surprised before, and I've been very disappointed. Oh, this is just awful. Now, isn't that interesting? And the queen is the most powerful piece in the board, other than the king, I guess. Oh, this is just silly. Oh. See, I guess female, they think you want something sort of sexy-ish. I don't know. That was a disaster. Didn't save any of those. We'll try rook and then we're done. And every time you hit return, it's like Christmas. You never know what gift you're going to get. Did I ask for the right thing? That looks like more pawn than rook, but it's an interesting image. More pawn than rook, but interesting image. This is not chess at all, but I like the image. This doesn't make any sense. Okay, total failure. I'm going to try castle. See, that's how they keep getting come back. One more, just one more. Oh, I'll change this word. I'll add this. I'll make it that. In search for the perfect image. And sometimes you really do hit it. Very, very weird. It's given me a castle. What does that have to do with chess? I don't know. Oh my goodness. Well, what a show. It's been a terrific time. Talked about so many things, the review. Talked about how Florida wants to get in the pants of young women to track their periods. Gross. Talked about Aaron Judge winning. Talked about my very first troll bot from Russia. And everyone's favorite troll bot, Elon Musk, is now going to own the platform, which is terribly disappointing. But we'll see what happens if people stay or if people go. So I thank you so much for being here today. You had a wonderful show. If you have any questions or comments, you can email me, David, at Boles.tv. You can find me on Twitter, for now, at David Boles. Super follow. You can still follow. On Facebook, it's BOLES. Instagram is Boles Books. And hey, our Discord server, if you haven't been there for a while, go check in before you get purged. Bye, Dora. So I hope you have a wonderful day, a nice nap, a good rest, fantastic meditation. And when ye shall awaken, may your soul be filled with anticipation and nobody watching you. I'll see you tomorrow.